Steps for simplifying fractions are the same no matter your problem. You just have to get good at finding the factors, and then simplifying fractions will be a breeze. Our first problem today is simplifying 2/4. The first step to simplifying fractions is always to ask yourself, what number can I divide both 2 and 4 by? In this case, I can divide both 2 and 4 by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Our simplified answer is 1/2. If we look at a picture of what 2/4 looks like, I'm going to separate my circle into 4 parts, and I have 2 parts of them. We can tell that we have 1/2 of our circle shaded. So we know our final answer is 1/2. Let's look at another similar problem, 3/9. We have to find a number we can divide both 3 by and 9 by. In this case, you can divide both 3 and 9 by 3. Three divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Whenever you have a 1 in your final answer, you don't have to go any further, so our final answer is 1/3. Again, if we wanted to look at a picture of this, I'm going to separate my circle into 9 equal parts. The 3 tells me I have 3 pieces, so 1, 2, 3. And if you look very closely, you can tell that I have 1/3 of the circle shaded in. Alright, now you try a problem. 4/12. I want you to pause the video, press play when you're ready to check your answer. Okay, so we have to divide both 4 and 12 by the same number. You could have picked a couple different numbers to start with, but I'm going to pick the largest factor, which is 4. So you can divide both 4 and 12 by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So our final answer is 1/3. If you drew a picture of this, 1/3 of your circle is shaded in. Alright, sometimes you have a little bit larger numbers, but you still want to try the same process. So looking at 14 over 20, we have to come up with a number we can divide both 14 and 20 by. I'm going to use 2 because the numbers are both even. So 14 divided by 2 and 20 divided by 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 20 divided by 2 is 10. Now we look at our answer and we have to check again. Is there any number that I can divide both 7 and 10 by? The answer is no, because 7 is a prime number. Remember, prime is a number that you can only divide by 1 and itself, and 10 isn't divisible by 7. So we know our final answer for this problem is 7 over 10. Let's look at 50 over 60. 50 over 60 has a ton of different ways you could divide these two. You could start by dividing by 2, or by 5, or by 10. There's tons of options. I'm going to start by dividing by 2. It doesn't matter what you pick. Your partner may pick something different, but it's just that you have to make sure the top and the bottom are divided by the same number. So 50 divided by 2 is 25. 60 divided by 2 is 30. Now I'm going to check my answer now. I have 25 over 30. I can divide both of those by 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 30 divided by 5 is 6. I can't divide 5 and 6 by the same number, so my final answer is 5/6. We've talked a couple times about zero tricks, and if you have a fraction that ends with 2 zeros, you can just cross them off, and we're left with 5 over 6. The same answer we got by dividing by 2 and then by 5. The reason you can do this is because if any number ends in a 0, it's automatically divisible by 10. And if we look at 50 divided by 10, we get 5. And 60 divided by 10, we get 6. So a short trick would be anytime you see a fraction that's ending with a 0 in the numerator and the denominator, you can just know they're divisible by 10 and get rid of those zeros. Alright, one more problem before I have you try some on your own. We have 24 over 32. Now this is another problem that you can divide multiple ways. I'm going to start by dividing by 2 again because they're both even. 24 divided by 2 is 12. 32 divided by 2 is 16. I can divide both 12 and 16 by 2 again. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Divide by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So our final answer is 3/4. Now looking back at our original problem, you may have thought there was a better factor to choose than dividing by 2. For example, you could have divided by 4, or you could have even seen the factor dividing by 8. So we can divide both 24 by 8 and 32 by 8. 24 divided by 8 is 3. 32 divided by 8 is 4. So our final answer is 3/4. We get the same answer no matter what we choose to divide with in the beginning, but if you do choose a smaller factor, you'll notice you have to do a little bit more work. Alright, now you try some. 30 over 40 and 21 over 24. Pause the video until you've completed these problems. Alright, 30 divided by 40 is like our same problem from before, 50 over 60. You could have chose to divide by 5 or by 2 or by 10, but if you were really paying attention, you remembered our zeros trick. So we're going to go ahead, divide by 10 and cross off our zeros, and we're left with 3/4. Now let's look at 21 over 24. You probably had to think for a while about what can I divide both 21 and 24 by until you came up with 3. 21 divided by 3 is 7. 24 divided by 3 is 8. Looking at 7 and 8, there is no number we can divide both of them by, so our final answer is 7/8. All the problem we've tried so far, the numerator has been smaller than the denominator, but sometimes your numerator is larger. And then you have to ask yourself a very important question, because we're going to be making a mixed fraction. How many times can 3 fit into 5? And what I mean by that is if I have pizzas that are cut into 3 parts, and I have 5 pieces, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many whole pizza pies do I have? Well, looking at this one, it's all shaded in, so I know I have 1 whole pizza. And then looking at what's left over, I have 2 pieces shaded in out of a pizza pie that has 3 pieces in it. So again, asking yourself, how many times can 3 fit into 5? Well, 3 fits in once, so it's our large number. And so we've used up 3 pieces, counting up to 5, 4, 5. That's 2 left over, and our denominator never changes. So our final answer is 1 2/3. Let's look at 10 divided by 2. Sometimes they throw in trick problems like this one, and they just want you to remember, well, 10 divided by 2 is 5. But in case you don't notice that, let's look at it the same way we did 5 over 3. So how many times can 2 fit into 10? Well, let's count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It fits in 5 times, and since we got all the way up to 10, there's 0 pieces left over. But this is silly. We don't need to say 0 over 2, that our final answer is really just 5. Okay, how many times can 12 fit into 18? Well, 12 can fit in, but twice is 24, and that's too big. So we know it can only fit in 1 time. We've used up 12 pieces here, so 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's 6 left over 12. And then we do have to simplify our fraction here. Both 6 and 12 can be divided by 6. So 6 divided by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. We can't forget to bring down our big 1, so our final answer is 1 1/2. All right, remember our tens trick from before? We can use that when our numerator is larger than our denominator as well. If our number ends in 0 in both our numerator and denominator, we can go ahead and cross those off. It's just like dividing by 10. We can't cross off this 0 though because we don't have a 0 in the denominator to cancel with it. So now our problem we're looking at is 10 over 3. So we have to ask ourselves, how many times can 3 fit into 10? Well, 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 is too big, so we could only fit it in 3 times. So we have 3 times fitting into 10. We've used up 9, so counting 1 more to 10 is 1. And again, the 3 never, ever, ever changes on the bottom. So our final answer is 3 1/3. All right, now you try. We have 9 over 5 and 15 over 4. Press pause. Try these on your own, and then press play to check your answer. All right, let's look at 9 over 5. How many times can 5 fit into 9? Well, it can fit in 5, 10. Oops, 10's too big, so it can only fit in once. We've used up 5, so 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 4 left over. So our final answer is 1 4/5.